Hi guys, this is Vineet, and in this video we will discuss about how you can create a database within SQL Server. Before we proceed ahead with this video, uh, I would request you to please like this video and subscribe to my channel, and also hit on the bell icon to get any future updates. Also, if it's possible, please share this video with your friends, so that they can also learn these concepts. So now let's continue with this video. So the video is on how to create a database inside SQL Server. So before we start creating a database, let's quickly go through some of the concepts. So the first concept is, and this is pertaining to Microsoft SQL Server, a maximum of 32,767 database can be created within a single instance of SQL Server, which is quite huge. And while creating databases, we need to make sure that when we are defining the data files, they should be as large as possible, based on the estimation made on how much maximum data we can expect in that database. And there are two procedures to create a database. One procedure is to create them through SQL Server Management Studio, using a GUI based method, and another method is you can also create them using the query editor window within SQL Server Management Studio, using the T-SQL dialect. Alright, now let's go through the demo of creating one of the databases. So in order to create a database, you need to go to SQL Server Management Studio. This is already open for me, and I have connected to my instance of SQL Server, which is the default instance. Let me show you how to connect to it. So once you open the SQL Server Management Studio, you get this box, this dialog box, and here you need to select the server to which you want to connect. And here we are not specifying the instance because we want to connect to a default instance of the database. We are using vendor authentication and my account to log in into the database. So click on connect. It will connect you to the server, and underneath, let's open the databases folder, and underneath I can see a Northwind database is already created over there. So let's create a test database. Let me show you the graphical way using the SQL Server Management Studio. So first of all, you need to open up the Object Explorer window. If it is not open, you can open it through view menu, or F8 is the shortcut key for opening the Object Explorer window. So once you are inside the Object Explorer window, you need to connect to the instance of SQL Server Database Engine. So first, initially you get the Object Explorer window, you get it blank. So in order to connect to a database instance, you need to click on the connect option, and then you need to connect to the server and the instance name. In our case, we are using default instance, so we are not specifying the name. Let's click on connect. So in the Object Explorer, you get this view with the server name, and underneath server there are various databases, etc. And we need to right click on the databases option, and there is an option to create a new database. Click on that, and it opens up a new database window. Let's expand this, and let's look at the individual fields. So first field is the database name, and there we need to enter the database name. For this example, we are putting testdb as the database name, and then so first of all, you need to specify the database name, and it is giving us some of the default options like the file names used for this database. So this is the primary data file, and this is the log data file. This one holds the actual data, and this one holds the transaction. And we can accept the default options. So if we want to accept the default options, which is like 8 MB is initially assigned for the database file, and 8 MB is also assigned for the log file. We can accept these default options, and for owner we are accepting default, which is the login with which we are logged in currently. That will become the owner of this database. And here are some of the options. We can discuss about them later. For now, if you want to create the database by accepting all the if you want to create a database by accepting all the default value, you need to click on the OK button. It will create a database with default options. So we can see this database is created, and we can go to properties to go to this same window and go to the file section. This is the screen we got initially when we hit on the new database option. So we can see it has already automatically created testdb.mdf, which is the primary data file, and testdb_log.ldf, which is the log data file. So these were the default options, and later on now we can change these options as well. Okay, on this screen we see that the database owner is my current login name. We can change the owner of this database over here by clicking on this ellipsis button, and here we can type in the name of the user we want to make the owner of this database. For now, let's click cancel, and below the owner section we see an option use full text indexing, and we can see that this option is dimmed and enabled. Why this is so? Because this option is always checked and dim, because beginning or starting SQL Server 2008 all the database are full text enabled. Prior to SQL Server 2008 it was an option to make the database full text indexing enabled, but starting 2008 server all the databases are full text enabled, and we are using SQL Server 2012 for recording this video. So by default this option is checked and enabled and dimmed as well. And we can check the default values for the database file section, and we can change the default value for the primary database file. The first row is for primary database file mentioned here by the file group primary, and this is the primary database file, and this is the log database file. And the primary database file holds the rows data, and the log data file basically holds the transactions which are not yet completed or completed transactions as well. And we can click on the appropriate cells to make changes, like we can change the logical name of the primary data file and the log data file. These values cannot be changed under file type. File group cannot be changed at this moment because we don't have any other file groups defined. And initial size is there. We can increase or decrease the initial size of the database. And there is an auto growth section where we can define the auto growth section. Auto growth percentage for the file in percent or in megabytes. So once the 8 MB part is filled, by default it will increase the file size by 64 megabytes, and maximum file size limit we can see is unlimited. So it will continue to grow until all the disk space is exhausted, and this option enables the auto growth. It is checked right now, and right next to it, it shows the path where the data files are stored and along with the file name. Okay, we can also change the collation of the database, and in order to do that we need to go to the options page. Here we can see the collation, which is right now Latin 1 General CLAI. We can change the collation here as well. So collation basically defines the character set available for the database, and along with that the sorting order which will be performed on the character base fields. So we can change the collation for the database over here. We will discuss more on collation in our separate video where we will give more details on what the collation is and what are its uses. And for now, this much of introduction is enough. Let's go back to files. Now if we go back to the options page, there is also a recovery model defined over here, and we can change the recovery model. The options available are full, bulk locked and simple. We can change the recovery model for the database over here. We will discuss in more detail about the recovery models which can be used in our separate video. And from the options page we can also change various other options as well. Once we are done with selecting appropriate options, we can hit on OK button to select those options. Now let's go back to the file section. Here we see that we have a primary file group under which the primary data file is defined. We do not have any other file group as of yet. So in order to create a new file group or add a new file group, we can go to the file group section on the left, and we can click on the add file group option to create another file group. And we can specify the we cannot specify, but yeah, whatever files we put under that particular file group, we can get a count over here. And we can also define whether it's a read-only file group or the default file group. For right now, even though we are creating a new file group, the default file group is primary. We can also make this file group a default file group by checking this option. And in order to add, we just need to click on add file group and fill in the necessary fields. And to add an extended properties to the database, we can go to the extended properties page for the database, and here we don't have any extended properties defined as of now. And if we want to define the extended property, we can name that property here and define the value for that property. And after that we can click on OK to set the properties. We will discuss in more detail about the extended properties in our separate video. For right now we are just mentioning that extended properties can be defined here. Let's go back to file, and after defining all these options, we can hit on OK button to create the database. For now we have already created our database, so we are fine here. So this was the procedure to create a database using the graphical way, using SQL Server Management Studio. And in our next video we will record, let's continue in this video only. Let's try to show you that how you can create a test DB that we have created using the graphical way in this video. We can also create it by using the transact SQL using the query editor window. So for now, let's right click on the database and delete this database because we don't need it, and we will recreate it using the T-SQL syntax. So let's hit on delete, and this database is selected. And during the deletion process we can delete backup as well, and the restore history information for the databases as well. Or otherwise we can, if we want to keep the backup, so we can uncheck this option or the restore history. And if we are connected to this database, there is an option where you can close the existing connections to the database. In our case, we are not yet connected to this database because there are no query editor windows opened in the background. So for now this is fine, and let's hit on OK to delete this database from the system. So right now on the left hand side we can see that database is dropped or deleted from the system. Now in order to create the database, we need to hit on new query, and you may select a master database, or otherwise even if the other database is also selected, that is also fine. So now let's write the syntax. So what we have done, we have hit on the new query button to open a new query editor window, and we will write a query syntax to create a database. So let's start writing a query for creating a database. You may also write query along with me. So in order to do that, first of all you need to be in the master database. So you can start with the use statement, use master, and you need to terminate a statement with a semicolon. That's a requirement. And after that we are clicking on we are typing go. So once the go is encountered, the statement above the go will get executed. So after go, use master statement will get executed, and the master database will get selected. And after that we are creating a database using the create. Now in order to create a database, we use the create database statement along with the database name. So in our example we are using testdb, and after that we need to specify the on clause, and we give the file details on which we want to create the primary data file. So we need to start with the opening bracket and close it with the closing bracket, and hit enter between them. And you need to type in statements to specify the name of the files. So first of all, the first parameter is name. Here we are defining the logical name of the file. So logical name can be anything. You may name it like testdb as well, or maybe you can put it test_db and put a comma. Then we need to specify the second parameter, which is file name. So what should be the file name? We need to specify the location as well. So let me specify that. Okay, so in our case we are specifying the location as this, which is the program files, the installation directory for SQL Server, and underneath that there is MS SQL and data folder. And under the data folder we need to specify the name of the primary data file. So in our case we are just mentioning it as tempdb.mdf, which is the extension for the primary data file. So we are done with the second parameter, and then we need to specify the initial size using the size parameter. So we are setting it to 10 MB, so we are taking it as 10, and we can specify the max size parameter. Here we are taking the 50 as the max size, which is 50 MB, and we are specifying the file growth as in MBs as 5 MB. So once the 10 MB size is filled, it will increase in the increment of 5 MB up till maximum size of 50. Now all of our 4 parameters are defined. So this was the information for the primary data file after the on clause, and we need to specify the information regarding the log file now. So we need to specify log on keyword. So let's quickly mention the details of the log file. So we can copy the same content, but we need to change the values. So what we are doing is copying the content of the above primary data file, and we will change the details here for the log file. So test underscore db underscore log, we are taking it as our log file name, and we are specifying the tempdb log as our name of the log file, and the extension should be ldf for this file, and location is same, and the name is the logical name of that file. Size we are taking as, let's take it as 5 MB. We can specify MB along with that as well, the file size, and let's specify it as half the size, 25 MB. And regarding file growth, we are saying let's do it in the increment of 5 MBs. And after this is done, we need to specify the go statement, and our create database statement is completed till here. So it would be better because to end the statement with a semicolon. This is the newly adopted practice, and you need to follow that. And after this statement is done, we can put go statement so that the above batch of statements get executed. So now let's hit on F5 to execute this query, or otherwise we can click on execute button as well. So let's hit on execute button. A database with the name testdb will get created along with this file information. So let's execute it. We need to unselect everything and execute it. So okay, we have not mentioned the correct file names. We have mentioned as tempdb, where we should have mentioned it as testdb. So let's correct that, because tempdb is the there is already database with the name tempdb. That's why it is not taking that, because those files already exist for temp database, which is a system defined database. So we just need to change it to test, because we are creating a testdb. Alright, now let's try to execute this statement again, and this time it should get created. So yeah, I've executed and command completed successfully. And if we hit on the refresh button here, we will see it is not showing me the newly created database. So we need to disconnect from the server and reconnect to it. It will show me the databases. So we can see testdb over here. Let's close off the query window. Now let's check the properties of this database. So we will go to the file section and see that whether it has taken the parameters we have defined in the T-SQL syntax. So yeah, here we can see a testdb is created. We have mentioned the logical names, test underscore db, test underscore db log, and we have specified the sizes. 10 and 5 MB is the initial size, and we have specified the increment of 5 MBs with the 50 MB limit for the primary data file and the 25 MB limit for the log data file. And we have also specified the name of the primary data file and the log file name, and we have also specified the logical names as well. So yeah, we have just shown you how you can create the databases using the T-SQL inside SQL Server Management Studio, and we have also shown you how you can create a database graphically as well inside SQL Server Management Studio. Let's go back to notes. So we have taken you through demo, wherein we have created the databases graphically using SQL Server Management Studio, as well as using T-SQL to create the databases. We have shown you that, and we are done with this video. And we would please do like this video if you really like it, and please subscribe to my channel. Also, I would request you to share this video with your friends so that they can also have this knowledge. and you may also hit on the bell icon to get information regarding any future videos that I will post. And I will thank you so much for your time and your support, and you have a nice day ahead. Thank you.